Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Good early evening to those of you in Europe, and good afternoon to those of you in the Americas. Welcome to day 5 of our 5-day series in recognition of World Suicide Prevention Day, which actually is today, September 10th. But also, of course, we must always recognize that this is also Suicide Prevention Month. We have had fantastic series thus far, and it just keeps getting better and better and better. And we are going to end this series with a complete bang. As you all know, my name is Samira Kimbeck. I am your host for our wonderful roundtable discussions with our amazing guests. Day 1, we started out with Esther Akin-George, dear friend of mine, who shared with us about her journey with bipolar disorder and given us all some tips on self-care and what she does in order to maintain optimum mental and emotional well-being. Day 2, we heard from our fantastic CEO and founder of Talk Support UK, because remember that we are all brought together on today's series and the complete series in support of the great works that Talk Support Talk Counseling CIO, which is the registered charity name, has been doing on the ground. And so Ace was able to share with us about the genesis and the heart behind the organization, and gave also some fantastic golden nuggets from an entrepreneurial as well as from a heart perspective. We then looked at the importance and the impact of nutrition on our mental and emotional well-being with our Wednesday, our day 3 part series, which was with the great Sharon Lawrence and Linda Fajor. That was a really amazing series where we're looking at, the things that we can eat, supplementation, as well as lifestyle. Yesterday was a very emotional session that we had, where we had the wonderful Jen and Tessa sharing about their personal experiences as suicide loss survivors. And we really went into some deep topics of contemplation, which definitely it kind of tugged at the heartstrings. I think that if everyone will go back and listen and watch that recording, there are some amazing golden nuggets in there for anyone that is in a place of despair, and anyone who has unfortunately having to deal with grief and bereavement of all kinds, but particularly if you are grieving because of a loved one that has passed away through death by suicide. And I do want to right now just extend my condolences and to say rest in eternal peace to anyone who is dearly departed, for all manners of reasons, but equally when we are looking at death by suicide, may your soul rest in peace. Today is going to be another beautiful session. I'm so excited and privileged to introduce you to our wonderful guests for our 5th and final series. We have the wonderful Delia Mohammed. She's actually the CEO and founder of Pregnancy Without Fear, a wonderful, wonderful soul. I feel so honored to have met her. She actually was a doula, but she's also a qualified midwife. I know that Delia will share more about her background and knowledge, but she is a fantastic resource. Please make sure that you can see there that her Instagram handle is there. Make sure you're following her, because the amazing work that she's doing in the community internationally to support expectant moms, new moms and dads, and to really ensure that we are getting at the grassroots levels from in the womb until we're here on this planet Earth. It's wonderful the works that she is doing. So make sure that you're following her at Pregnancy Without Fear. It also brings me so much joy to introduce another new sister and friend of mine, Elizabeth Hamilton. She's an amazing author, amazing woman. And I'm going to let her actually go into more about her story and journey. But please note, everyone, that the wonderful, beautiful thing about Talk Support, I'm not going to give Elizabeth's story away because I really want her to focus on it, but just understand that the wonderful thing about Talk Support UK, which is what unites us all together, are the phenomenal men and women that are part of the Talk Support family. So I am bringing to you just two of our volunteers who are our mentors and counselors that are delivering fantastic works to the community. And it's just an absolute honor and a pleasure to have both of these women here to really and truly for us to focus on some of the trauma that can actually take place from inside the womb. And then when we look at the early years, because really and truly, if we can address the trauma, any type of trauma that takes place in the early years, but actually going back, looking from the womb, then that should in itself transition beautifully through the early years into us looking at how we can really and truly prevent suicide and save lives. So ladies, I just want to say thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for joining us on our final series today.
Thank you for inviting us.
Oh,
thank you, Samira. It's lovely being here and a great opportunity to be part of this. It's a beautiful thing to do here.
Thank you, ladies. And everyone, remember, it's customary. We want to see some love in the chat. We want to make sure that you're engaging with us. So during our time together, it's 6 p.m. or so for us in the UK, which is 1 p.m. Eastern, up until 2 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. UK. We want to make sure that you're getting your questions answered. You're engaging with us in the chat. So make sure that you show these ladies some love and also ask your questions. And we'll make sure as we go along throughout today that we will address them, whether it's today or if it requires that we need a bit more time, we'll go back. And be sure to like and share this as well. We want to make sure that this great information that these two amazing ladies will share gets spread far and wide. So let's then kick off this amazing session. So I'm actually going to start with yourself, Delia, because of the fact that you deal with expectant mothers. I think let's start with the womb. Let's start there. And then I think it will beautifully transition on into what Elizabeth's focus really is when it comes to the early years. So for yourself, Delia, what would you say are some of the challenges that you have come across with or for expectant mothers when we're looking at the whole idea of some of the challenges that can be that can take place, whether it's financial, whether it's physical, emotional, psychological, that can actually therefore then have an impact on their baby?
Thank you, Samira, for inviting me. And it's lovely to see Elizabeth. And like you said, literally didn't know that she was a part of the team. And I'm so glad to know that she is. In relation to your question, it starts from not just we're always looking at the womb, but really we should be looking at the male and the female and when they come together. And how they come together, why do they come together? And when they are together, what is it that they are supposed to be producing? And when I was a doula, I'd meet a lot of couples, mainly first-time parents. And they would, I'd even though I was there to support the pregnant mother or woman, I would find that there was something not right with the couple. And during the pregnancy, things would manifest themselves in certain ways. And I would then have to kind of either alarm the grandparents and let them know that, look, this is what I'm witnessing. And if you can keep an eye on it. And a lot of the times I was right in the fact that they had come together, but really didn't know each other. And they're just growing. And then all of a sudden, pregnancy happens, conception happens, and things change. And what the plans were now have to be totally eliminated because a little one is going to be involved. Certain occasions, I have experienced pregnant women in domestic violence, husbands not understanding the situation and not being able to cope and taking it out on the pregnant one. I have not necessarily come across suicide, but I've come across pregnant women who have been severely depressed, where they were thinking of not necessarily taking their life, but taking their baby's life, because they felt it would make their mind and what they were going through much more easier to deal with, because there were so many expectations from their family and friends and society as a whole. They, there was certain stipulations that they thought that they had to fulfill. If they didn't fulfill it, they weren't good mothers. And so instead of having that bad mother label over them, they would rather get rid of their child. And so I've had fathers phone me, or fathers communicating with me in one way or another to say, look, this is what I saw, what do you think it means? And I would then have to refer them to their GP and say, get the GP to refer a psychiatrist, psychologist, whatever, but get someone professional to deal with this. It's been very difficult, especially with the last 18 months and dealing with the virus, where mental health has it's gone sky high, and more pregnant women are suffering from depression. I have not seen so many pregnant women suffer from depression in the last 18 months, and I've been doing this for nearly over 2 decades, and to recognize that it's taking particular rules and regulations to stop a person from feeling free and autonomous, to have them isolated or to have them stay in one area for a certain length of time, not knowing when they can come out. And then when they can come out, they've got to wear a mask. It's a lot. And then they're dealing with high blood pressure, if they've been told they've got high blood pressure, if they've been told that possibly they've got gestational diabetes, if their baby's small, if there isn't enough water and fluid in the womb to hold the baby, if the baby's not developing. I mean, a list of things that women, when they're pregnant, will have to deal with, plus the situation that's now in hand. It's a lot. It's a lot. And when you've got your husband or your partner having to leave the home because he has to now leave the home, because if he doesn't go to work, you could be homeless. You understand it, and he is then stressed because he wants to be with his partner. He can't because he's got to go to work, but he's going to work because he's got to make the money to be able to sustain the child that's going to be born. I mean, the machinery of this, it's overwhelming. It really is overwhelming. And unless you have support, whether it be professional support, therapy, whatever, or you've got good family and friends around you, even neighbors that can support you, you'd be surprised at how the mind can take one in a direction that isn't really good. So pregnancy at this stage is quite serious. It really is quite serious. And a lot of the hospitals have changed guidelines, and in certain circumstances, one hospital will do one thing and another hospital do something else. And then the mothers or the pregnant women will cross communicate what their hospital is doing to what this was. And individuals are then either confused, angry, happy, whatever, based upon what they are or not getting. The kind of care that they want, or the kind of care that they're not getting, or they did not get. It can be very, very confusing. And unless they have professionals that are there to support them, it can be very distressing.
Absolutely. I mean, the thing is that I want to bring Elizabeth in, but I'm conscious of the fact that we're having some slight technical challenges, guys. So I am going to mute myself so that Elizabeth can unmute. But I just want to introduce Elizabeth in a bit more detail from my perspective, but also to actually give her the platform to share, because this carries on beautifully from what Delia has expressed and shared with us. Because the thing is that the challenges, as you expressed and shared with us, Delia, from pregnancy or through someone's pregnancy, actually it is about the mum and the father. And Elizabeth has a fantastic book. As I said at the beginning, she is an author. Her book is In Relation to Men. Make sure that you are following her at Elizabeth Hamilton Author. And I want Elizabeth, thank you. There you go, guys. That wasn't even planned. Love it. But I do want Elizabeth to share, because Elizabeth is a mom. And the great thing about Elizabeth's understanding of life lessons is through personal experience, of which she's then gone on to actually deliver professional assistance to other people. So Elizabeth, if you can also share about the traumas that exist as well for expectant mothers. As Delia shared, it goes actually before you actually conceive, but in your own words as well, especially over the course of the last 18, 19 months and the work that you do, what are the challenges that you are seeing come to the fore more so now during this COVID time that's causing this trauma?
Thank you, Samira. Thank you, Delia, as well. I wanted to touch on a few of the things that you were saying as well, before I go on, just to back up the point of what you were saying about the young mothers going into these situations and the young fathers going into these situations without actually knowing what it is that they're supposed to be doing or what is expected of them in those situations. And I truly believe that this all starts within the home. As parents ourselves, we're supposed to be able to give our children that knowledge, that armor, so that when these things do occur for them, they're ready for it, they're prepared for it, they're capable of being able to handle it. And unfortunately, times have changed and sped up to a point, an area where we're no longer having to give them these talks in their teens. They need it before their teens.
Yes.
And for me, it's a huge one, because I even understand the depression, both postnatal, and I'm not sure why they call it postnatal when it starts from the beginning. It's a huge thing. It is a really huge thing, and when you feel that there is nobody to meet you in the middle, meet you where you are at, because you're trying to meet everybody else's expectations, it becomes an extra weight that's unnecessary for you, especially as a female. Whilst your emotions are being split, everything about you is being split while you're carrying this child. Everything that you're doing, you're passing on to the child. The emotions that you're feeling through your arguments, through your stressing, you're passing all of this down to your baby. You know what I mean? Nobody's explaining all of that to these young girls and young boys that are getting pregnant. They're not understanding the weight of actually producing a life and creating this life and what comes along with it. So it's a big thing that does need addressing, and I fully hear what you're saying about needing that extra support through the psychological services. I personally have had experience of both sides of it. So I'm qualified as a person-centered counsellor, but I also suffer with mental health myself. My experience of dealing with psychologists or counsellors. Counselors were better than the psychologists for me. The psychologists, it seemed like when I required a more in-depth service, there was no representation for me. So the psychologist that I had been to see after the bereavement of my twin, one of my twins, I had to carry the child that wasn't going to survive through to the end of the pregnancy because they were unable to remove it. So I was promised the bereavement counselling from when I was told, from about 12 weeks into the pregnancy, and I'm still waiting for it today. The son that survived is 3 years old. So that is the way of the NHS counselling services and what they're having to deal with at the moment, because unfortunately what had happened during the time that I was on the waiting list, this pandemic came along, and a whole lot more people required more urgent attention. So when you're on a list waiting for somebody, if anything happens that's detrimental to the nation or to the country, you will get pushed back, because these people are going to be more detrimental than you are at that point in time, even though nobody's actually assessed you to see how thin you are, worn, how you know how close you are to that edge. Nobody's actually assessed you, but systematically we just we change the way things go. So you may have been at number 10 on the list, and you will move down to number 129 because of the just the way that the system goes. So I got self-referred to a psychologist. The psychologist that I saw, she had no clue of my culture, our speech, nothing. All after 6 sessions, I think it was, with her, she told me that she did not understand the word baby father, which then placed me in a worse position than I had been when I first went to see her, because now I feel as if I'm incapable of communicating with anybody outside of my culture about my issues. So therefore, it makes me keep it to myself again. It makes me whittle down and hold it in again, which is not healthy. So yeah, I fully agree with you on the whole of that side, with there needing to be a lot more representation for us, a lot more support for us, a lot more people that are able to assist in those areas and are capable of assisting in those areas. My book does talk a bit about my, sorry, I'll hold the book up again. It's available on Amazon and on my website, that's www.elizabethhamiltonauthor.com. Now, in my book, I talk about a point where I was suicidal myself, and it wasn't due to pregnancy or anything like that. It was because of the fact that I had been I had suffered a rape when I was 12. So this was my virginity being taken, and I had nobody noticed me. Nobody saw what I was going through at that time. And I think I was already suffering a little bit of mental health issues previous to this, because we just moved town, and everybody knows if you move city when you're young, you have to change school, everything changes. I didn't realize that the curriculum changes like 57 miles up the motorway. I had no idea that the whole of my life and everything that I'd worked towards would have to be dropped, and I would have to start again as such. And nobody explains this to you, and nobody tells you how to deal with it when it happens. So there was a lot. And then when that incident happened, it was a case of feeling like there was nobody there that I could talk to, and being in a community where it was blatant that there were very few people that were going to actually assist me in this situation. So for me, I feel it's really important for parents, number one, to be able to give their children the armor, equip them with as much information as you can about adulthood before they become adults, so that they're aware of what the task is that is coming towards them. A lot of the time, we try to shelter our children. We try to shield them from things that we feel may cause them harm. But life is something that we can't shield anybody from. We can only prepare them to walk their journey, and hope that if we give them enough of the tools and the navigation assistance, they won't bump into as many trees or fall down as many holes as we have and generations before us have. For me, it's a big thing on that. It's that nurturing, that empowering, that teaching your children and the children around you about self-love, about respecting themselves, about how worthy they are of everything that they want to be, think about being, or ever even thought they could never be. They are worthy of that. They're worthy of that and more. And we need to instill that in our youths. So we just need to instill that in them so much more than we do at the moment. And if we can get 10 more people changing the way that they're dealing with their children, changing the way that they're talking to their child, changing the way that they're informing their child and empowering their child, rather than blaming their children for mistakes that are made whilst they're a child, because whilst they're a child, they're still learning. Yeah, if they become a parent at a young age, it's because they weren't taught how to not become a parent at a young age. They're still learning. We all learn right till the last day of our lives. However, when you are a child and you are dependent, that person who you are dependent on is responsible for giving you those tools. And if you don't have them by the point in time where your body says you're capable of creating another life, then that parent, that responsible being for you, has failed in their duty. That's just in my eyes, because there's nobody else that can give you that after you're already experiencing it.
I have a question, which this actually follows on so beautifully from yesterday's session, where when we were looking at how young is too young, meaning how young is too young to actually have these difficult conversations with our children. Now, I'm not a mum. I have godchildren. Very blessed to have godchildren. Very blessed that I've become a fur godmum. I don't know, fur mama, but I am not the mama of the little dog. But I don't have my own children. But I've always said that when I am blessed to have my own kids, then I believe that we do need to sit down and have these very difficult, and sometimes for parents it can seem embarrassing, conversations, but they're necessary, because at the end of the day, your parent, I'm very blessed to have a fantastic relationship with both my parents. And I know not everybody has that support network, but our parents are the first kind of teacher in our life. They're the first port of call. And equally, our teachers, our daycare teachers, nursery teachers, they're like the third. Parents, grandparents, or aunts and uncles, and then our actual teachers. So we were talking about this yesterday, and it follows on so beautifully with what you ladies are saying, because it starts in the home. But my question is, how young is too young? What kind of age should we start to really and truly broach these subjects with our children, would you say?
You start a child before puberty. And this is where, for me, the issue lies with so-called sexual education. Sexual education should not exist until a child understands why a girl will transform into a woman and why a boy will transform into a man. What is the process? Why does the process exist? And how the boy would be able to deal with that process and the girl deal with that process while they're going through the process. And I find that this is something that I've seen for myself, and I don't know how many of us actually realize that from the moment we hit secondary school, we are in puberty. Yeah? Puberty is the sexual organs being developed.
Yeah, for some of us,
it's
it's before secondary school.
Yes.
Before
Yes.
secondary school. And a lot of people that I know, it happens in primary school now.
In their primary school.
Yeah, so 9 years old, 10 years old, the ages that girls are developing into that their bodies are starting to change.
Yes, easily, and we've got our young children going through this, but there's no one guiding them in relation to that. And what I've realized as parents, and I have to even include myself, that depending upon the experiences that we had growing up in relation to puberty, we then don't want to share anything about puberty with our children. So if your mum, and a couple of friends will say to me, my mum just threw a sandwich towel at me and told me, don't get pregnant because now I'm on my period. And that was it. So I'm thinking, okay, how do you then tell your daughter when she says, Mum, are you going to throw a sandwich towel at her as well and say exactly the same thing that your mother said to you? Or are you going to sit her down and explain why women, the female, goes through that process from a certain age? So I believe that it's puberty that needs to be taught, not sexual education.
I don't even think it's just puberty, you know, personally. I think puberty should be taught within biology. Biology should be taught from your child's at the age of, for me, I'm thinking from the age of 5, 6, and they need to know about what their body is doing, what it's about. My youngest is 3 now, and he's just learning to do number 2s on the toilet, which he's had a really, really hard time with, you know, just sitting and allowing it to drop in the toilet. Now I know that's psychologically something for him where he feels afraid of it dropping into the toilet, but he won't feel afraid of it sitting in his pants. So I had to get him to understand what's happening with his body, how his food is processing, and it has to come out now because it's done everything it needs to do. And that's why he needs to sit there. So he's starting to understand about biology from now. He's seeing the pictures of skeletons and the bodies, and especially because his brother is homeschooled at the moment as well. So he sees the biology lessons that his brother's doing. He sees the body parts. He knows that mommy has something different than daddy has, and what he has is like what daddy has. But he really finds comfort when he comes and lays down on mummy's top half. It's really, really, so we explain all of those things. You know, he knows this is where he got his food from when he was a baby, and this is where he was nurtured. So that's why he feels comfort when he's there. So I explain all of this to them, and I think the more we explain what we're doing, communicate with our children, just normally as humans. It makes it all the much easier. I mean, my daughter, I have a 21-year-old daughter. When I explained puberty to her, she knew about periods and everything that would come with it long before she had started her period. So there was no shock to her when it happened. Yeah. She knew what was happening. She knew what she had to do. She came back, she told me, she was like, oh, I'm feeling a little bit sick. And, you know, it was okay, well, now it's extra comfort time. And, you know, I let her know these little extra things, you know, as a female, you know, you can treat yourself at this time of the month and nobody can tell you anything. You know, you can have an ice cream if you feel like it. Eat that bar of chocolate. Have the cake if you want to. I mean, you may have to do extra work on the other side of it, but you can treat yourself during this time. You know, these are things that my mum didn't sit down and speak with us about. And that is due to the way that she was parented. So we say that so you can only live as you've learned. So what she was taught growing up, I guess she tried to do it a little bit differently than she'd had it, because I got given money to go to the shop and buy my own sandwich towels, and then the words were I think it was something like you can't play with boys the way you used to. And I was just mortified because I thought, well, how does she think I used to play with boys? What did she? And I already knew what was going on anyway, because I was a geek. I was always reading and, you know, learning, and thank goodness for her. She kept my head in books and every curricular activity we could possibly think of. But when it came to the personal things, you know, talking about relationships and those discussions weren't there. And when I was saying, I think it needs to be more that, sorry, my light's getting a little bit dim. I'm not sure why. When I was saying that there should be more than the sexual education, more than the puberty talks, we need to talk about the relationship talks as well. That's all part of growing up. You know, the good side of it, you know, the tingles that you get, the little feelings, you know, the little sweats, the butterflies, all of those things, the emotions. Why don't we talk about holding hands and the connection, the vibrations that come from those things when you actually do care about somebody? Why are we not expressing these things to our children and empowering them with the good instead of just giving them, you know, the painful sides? We need to be giving them as much light as we can whilst they're able to endure that light, because they're sponges. Everything that they soak up as children, they're going to take out there and magnify as adults.
Yeah.
I have a question though, in terms of, you know, when we talk about the good versus the bad, because also with the conversations that you're having with your son, and also Delia, I know that you're a mom as well. When it comes to talking about illness and death, how young is too young to broach those kinds of subjects? Because I can understand, and I definitely agree, that we need to have those conversations really early with our children when it comes to talking about relationships. Human interaction isn't just sex. But when it comes to death and bereavement, how young is too young to talk about that with our young people, with our children?
I think it depends on the age of the child, the intelligence of the child, because we put numbers to a child. Or if the child is 8, if the child is 5, I could have 5 young children in front of me at the same age, and each one of them will have a different level of intelligence, but they're all the same age. So for me, it's how that child is able to communicate. And if that child communicates at a level that I feel is where they can understand, then I will try to give them the information in such a way that it's understandable to them and digestible to them, but not something that has them worrying, stressed, fearful. You've always got to be looking at that side. And I do tend to see that when those of us who are in good stead see someone who isn't in good stead, we have this thing about looking down at them, not seeing them, or putting yourself in their shoes to understand their view, where they are coming from. As far as you're concerned, it's from where you're coming from. It's from your view. And I think that is just wrong, because children can be told about death and bereavement, but like I said, it does depend upon the intelligence of that child and what information you can impart. You can impart a lot of information and it doesn't have to be harmful. And then you've got information that can be harmful. So you try to disseminate, just like how when you feed a child, you put vegetables on a plate, you put the carrots and it's orange, you've got your greens, you've got, and you've separated the different vegetables. And then you're explaining what each vegetable will do for that child. It's the same thing with the information. You don't have to give your child everything. You only have to impart what you feel is necessary and what that child can absorb at that time. And then slowly but surely, depending upon what you're imparting, the child may ask questions. And when the child asks questions, you can then impart more. But I wouldn't then just be vomiting on the child. This is what you must know. This is how it is. That's not fair. That is not fair, because you're looking at an adult putting putting an adult load onto a child, which doesn't work mentally. It will not work. It will not work mentally. I'm sorry. That's how I see it, because I've come across so many parents, adults, that will talk down to children or talk to children as though they should know. And children, just like Elizabeth was sharing, we're learning. There wasn't a manual for being a mother. There isn't a manual on how to be a child. There isn't a manual on how to be a father. Right now, Elizabeth has got her manual. She's got her life story based upon her motherhood. I've got mine. And you, Samira, you have got your story to tell, even though you're not a mother yet, but you've got a story to tell. You've got your manual. And I will learn from Elizabeth based upon what she did in her motherhood. She could learn from me. And I could also learn from you, Samira, in relation to how it is to be not a mother at this moment in time. And what are you doing to prepare to be that? Do you understand? So we have to really be looking at putting ourselves in the shoes of that person to try to understand what it is that they're going through, and not just telling them what they should do. Oh, you should do this, you should do that. No, let them speak. And as well as that, you've got to have patience, because this is not something that's going to be finished in a couple of days. This can take years, if not a lifetime, depending upon how things are dealt with and how that person copes.
I think it's I agree fully with everything that you're saying. I think it's really sad at the points when it does take a lifetime to get over losing somebody. That's my view of it, and partly because of the fact that life is so precious, and when we spend it wallowing and thinking about lives that have lost, that we have lost or have departed from us, we're wasting the time that we still have here, that we have to do what it is that we're here for. And for me, I do agree with you. It all depends on the intelligence of the child and what age you depart that information, or even try to help them to understand what death is about. And I do think it's also down to parenting and the way family values are. Um, I explained before that my last son was a twin, and at 3 years old he is of the comprehension, he comprehends that he was two and he is now one. He actually said it to me a few days ago. It's weird that you brought this up. Actually said it to me a few days ago. He says to me he has two friends and that are twins as well, and I was pregnant at the same time as their mother. And so he came in and he said to me, he's a twin like Jakiran, which is his friend, like Jakiran and Jadane. And I said, yeah, you are. Your twin's a star now, isn't he? He says, yeah, because he's watching me all the time. And I was just so filled. And like for me, how I explained it to him, I didn't drum it into him or anything. But on his birthday, we had a blessing ceremony for him. During his blessing, we also gave thanks for his twin star. We called it a twin star now, and we planted a lily for it. Well, it was a dahlia at first, but the dahlia didn't want to grow. So we planted a lily, and that flourished. So yeah, he went through that process with us, so he knows that we were acknowledging that he wasn't on his own. When I was pregnant with him, I think what struck me, I'm sorry, before I go to the pregnancy, my daughter, I lost my grandma when she was about 4 or 5, and it was difficult trying to explain it to her, but she knew, partly because I don't know how I'd explained it to her before that, but my theory is that we're born to die. We're here for a reason, and everybody's going to die, regardless of whether we want to or not. That's the one guarantee we have at birth, that we're going to die. So somehow I'd managed to get her to understand that part of it, for her to realize what was happening when my grandma died, for her great grandma passed away, and for her to understand what was going on then, and be able to cope with it. And we lost my granddad and my grandma within 6 months of each other. So, she did well coping with it, and she was only very young. And the things that she'd come to me and say was just so very profound, such an innocent mind that didn't have any knowledge of life. But these were the comforting words she was giving me, like she was in contact with these spirits almost. Like she was, telling me, grandma would be so proud of you, mummy, you're doing so much, and she'd be really, really happy that you did that for her. And I was just like, wow, you didn't even have that many conversations with her. But she's coming to me with that energy. And I'll jump back to the blessing. When I carried him and I was pregnant with him, I was aware of the fact that although I was going through a pregnancy in limbo, he was actually watching the closest thing he'll ever have disintegrate in front of him. So he was, in a sense, experiencing death before he took his first breath. That, to me, had me in a state of just a next realm, almost as if I was living in 2 dimensions at the same time, and trying to make sure that I didn't create any more unnecessary stress for him whilst I was incubating him. And then also trying to make sure that he knew that although I missed his other part, I loved him just as much without his other part. So it's one of those tricky ones, and it is down to the intelligence of the child. I am so blessed because my children seem to have come out with the brains I can't even speak. So this little one, he is just so bright. I'm not sure if he literally just incubated both brains or what, but he is just so clever, so bright. He has me in awe every day. They both do. They have me in awe. I say they do. They all three do. My daughter, I'm missing her out. My daughter is she's not here at the moment. She decided to go and stay with my mother at the beginning of May, and my mum's in Ethiopia. Now I'm going to tie that in with the conversation. My daughter suffers from mental health issues as well, and she had gone through some depression now. She'd had an incident. She'd had an incident which is, so yeah, I'm just going to tie it in. Yeah, she'd been living with her flatmate, so she'd been living away from home for over a year, and then her flatmate's boyfriend attempted to rape her. Now she came back home, and throughout dealing with that, it was really weird because I encouraged her to go to the police, and the police came and then arrested me. 20 minutes later, after throwing me in a van and distressing my daughter even more, they de-arrested me. Now, I've done law, I have a law diploma. I did not know that there was any such thing as de-arrestation.
No.
But yeah, there's this thing now where they de-arrest you, and that stops them from having to do any paperwork, basically, or stops having anything to, when you take them to court for this misconduct, there's no case to take them to court for. So, my daughter just gets extra distressed having gone to the police when she wanted to go to other people that would have dealt with it. And I convinced her otherwise so that the police can do their job. And then they end up apologizing to me for doing exactly what every Black community fears they do. You help them to, I'm there helping them to do what they're supposed to do, giving them the options now and all of the information they require. And they've turned that around to be a criminal effort for me. Ridiculous is what it was. They apologized. They spent a good how long apologizing afterwards, but it doesn't take away from the fact that this is the stain that you cause. This is the stain that you put on us. So she has mental health issues too, and she gets very depressed, very low. When she was younger, we had to deal with she was self-harming, which I didn't know how to cope with. I knew how to cope with suicide, but I had no clue of how to deal with self-harming. For me, I know you wanting to end it, and literally trying to talk you off the edge. That's what I know. Whereas self-harming now, it's more of a case of you don't want to go, but you don't want to stay. You're somewhere in the middle. It's like you're in living limbo in itself because you're punishing yourself for still being here, although you don't want to leave. It was mad crazy trying and watching the steps of what she was going through with the lockdown, etc. And at the point where they were insisting these vaccinations on people, literally going into anywhere. And she says she'd had enough and told me I need to drop her at the airport on Sundays, like 5 days previous. So I'm just like, oh my gosh, have you sorted everything out? She's like, yep, I'm going to grandma's, I'm off. It was the blessing. It was a blessing. She's been so much brighter and so much happier since she's been out there. But these were my dreams, to be able to have children that could get up and move whenever they wanted to, that could do what they wanted when they wanted. And in seeing that all this is coming to fruition now, this is actually happening now. Amidst all of these mental health issues that we've had, the closeness to suicidal efforts that we've had, it's a blessing. It's a true blessing. And I've got this saying: the sunshine always comes out after the rain. It really does. It really does. If you just hold on.
Absolutely. I mean, what you touched upon there, and thank you so much, ladies, for just opening up your hearts and sharing with everyone. In terms of your own rape that you experienced, Elizabeth, and also, thank goodness, it didn't actually transpire into a rape for your daughter, but nevertheless, everyone here, no doubt, can appreciate the trauma, and I think that's the word, that she has experienced as such. What kind of steps had you taken as a 12-year-old? What support was available to you? What kind of steps have you had to therefore then undertake to protect your mental health and emotional well-being. Of course, it's a journey that's forever continuing. But first of all, I just want to say that I'm so in awe of you for always being so real. We've only connected for a short space of time, but you're always just so beautifully honest, and you just always want to give and share so that you can be a blessing to others. So guys, please acknowledge that and put it in the chat. Show Elizabeth some love for that, please.
Yeah.
But I wanted to know from you, my love, what support was there for you, if any, and what mechanisms have you put in place to support other people as well as yourselves through that trauma that you suffered?
Right. Well, at the time when it happened for me, and might I add in, for anybody that's listening, that the perpetrators of that were also underage. Okay, it wasn't it wasn't like a pedophile situation or anything like that. Okay, everybody was underage, so nobody was given the right. I say nobody. I believe I had the right tools, but obviously not enough of the right tools because I was in that situation. So, and I'm one of these people that always look at what I could have done to prevent it and the things that I could have done differently. With every situation, I sort of self-analyze and go into how I could have done that differently, how that could have had a different outcome. So for me at the time, it was really, really hard. It was really, really, really hard. Look, I'm really trying not to get too emotional now. Yeah, it was really hard because I felt like nobody saw me. I felt invisible. On the very day that it happened, it was, I'm not going to talk too much about it because I do talk about it in my books. So I don't want to give away too much of that. But yeah, on the day that it happened, it was almost as if I became invisible for the day. And then the next day, it became harder. It just, the longer it went on, it was harder to tell somebody about it. I did tell a couple of people, and one of them, it sort of backfired on me. And then, yeah, it backfired on me big time because, yeah, after I told one of them, that's when the perpetrators decided to start spreading lies about me. So it was really, really difficult. Like I say, we were in a new town. It was really hard. It was just very, very hard and very lonely. Very, very lonely. There didn't seem like there was anybody that I could have gone to. The boys were quite popular in the town, and their parents were quite popular as well. And for me, I think it was a case of I think even going through all of the self-analysis at the time, and what I wanted to do. And, you think about vengeance and revenge and all these things, and going to the police didn't feel nowhere near right at that time. Like I said, I was a little bit of a geek. I was a little bit of a nerd them times. So I was fully aware of the system, the schools to prison pipeline from that age. I knew that I'd just literally be handing my black brothers over to a system that was just going to default them even more than the parents already had. So it was just really lonely. It was just really, really lonely. And I think that's why I'd gone to the suicidal point. It was so lonely. And I think I literally felt like God didn't love me no more. I felt like he'd abandoned me and he was the only person that could actually, I'm not person, being, entity that I could see me and was meant to protect me above everything. But you know what? I'm blessed. I am, because I'm still here and I'm here to tell the story. And so there'll be others out there that have been in this position or maybe go through this position, and maybe my words will help them, or maybe my words will help some of the parents that are raising boys that go and do these things to think about what's happening with their child, what their child is actually getting up to, what's happening in their homes, or what's happening what their teachings are, how the teachings that they're giving their children affecting other people. Sorry, I am sorry about this. I didn't mean to get so emotional.
Please don't apologize, my love. Oh, everyone who knows me knows I wear my heart on my sleeve, and I've been trying not to tear up. The three of us were crying yesterday, and I know that all three of us now are emotional. This is a sisterhood for life. Don't apologize. This is a sisterhood for life. And everyone in the chat respects you so much and is giving you so much love. And that's what this is all about. This series is all about love, because that's the only way that we can actually start to heal as individuals as well as a collective. There's no judgment, no judgment. And I promise you, my love, that God hasn't forgotten you. He's using your pain for a purpose. And thank you so much for being you're so strong. You're so strong. You have no idea the strength it takes to actually share. You're stronger than you give yourself credit for. I actually was going to bring Dina, and I know we're quite emotional, aren't we, Dina?
No. Yeah.
I wanted to ask you, my love, because I know that you have experience in this area with some of the mothers that you have helped along their journey who have suffered horrific trauma, just like what Elizabeth has shared, and their partners don't even know.
Yeah.
And how do you therefore then help someone in that situation to therefore then deliver a baby and to therefore then guide them so that they don't pass on that trauma, as it were, to their child?
In pregnancy, it's very difficult. The moment a woman knows that she's conceived, things will start to come up that we know nothing about. And I don't want to use the word privilege, but I was able to get them to open because they seemed to trust me. So they were able to share things with me that they didn't share with their family members or their loved one. And it took for me to be able to help her understand that they trusted her, that they wouldn't spread it, they wouldn't, talk to anyone else about it, or ask her, who does she think in the circle of her family and friends she could communicate this to? And I would then speak to the person after asking permission from her, and just giving them a little idea of what has been happening, and would they be ready to be able to just listen. I said, I don't want you to talk, I would just like you to listen, because she needs to shed, but she wants to shed to someone who will just listen to her, not judge her, not criticize her, just listen. So quite a few women wanted to actually speak to their mothers because their mothers never knew. And the husbands would be in a bit of a state, not understanding what was going on, or some husbands never ever knew. We just done it among ourselves, and we just made sure that he was at work or something, but there are a lot of women who carry things, who have been abused when they were younger but never told anybody, and they get into a relationship, they become pregnant, and as many of us know, when we are pregnant, there's a thing called vaginal examination, and a lot of women were not able to have anyone do any kind of examination of that form or go anywhere near that area because they were traumatized, and they'd always been traumatized. And it's funny because even, and it's not funny, haha, funny, peculiar. It was just really weird to know that this woman was able to have a sexual relationship with someone, conceive, and then the conception is what brings out, but not the relationship, not the sexual relationship she was having with her partner. So, and I found that really intriguing. You know, to this day, I still ask, how can that happen? How does that happen? But yeah, I've had a couple of mothers share with me things that they've never shared with anyone else. And I've never shared it to this day with anyone else. I always keep everything. Confidence
Yes.
is key to me. Even though I'm a qualified midwife, before that I was a doula, and as far as I'm concerned, anything that anyone shared with me, it stayed with me, and it always has been that way to this day. So yeah, we have to be more trusting and connecting and networking, where if I know that there is someone that needs support, maybe I can contact Elizabeth and say, Elizabeth, there's someone here that it's not anything heavy, but they would just like someone to talk to. Could that person talk to you? Do you know what I'm saying? Because that's what we need. And a lot of people have said to me, I want someone who looks like me, who understands my culture, who understands my language, who understands how I feel, how I think. And a lot of the times it's not that way. So then it makes it very difficult for them to learn how to heal.
Ladies, do I have your permission to extend this session? I know that both of these ladies are so phenomenal and they are so busy, but we're talking about we're on a very beautiful trajectory, and it's 7:03. Do I have your permission to extend? Is that
Of
okay?
course, of course.
Another 10 minutes. Okay, thank you so much. And I don't know if you ladies can see the chat, but there's just so much love that's
No.
coming in. I won't read all of the comments.
I just switched over from private chat to the comments and saw them. Like, thank you so much. Thank you so much. It's beautiful being here and being able to share these experiences with you all. And I just wanted to put in there, because I know there may be people thinking, well, how did it manage to get past so many? Why did nobody notice? And I want to just let you know, it's not a case of that my mum was a neglectful mother or anything like that. She was working very hard to provide us a decent lifestyle, which a lot of parents do. They work hard. She was a nurse. So she was working night shifts, day shifts, as many shifts as she could get. And at the time, we weren't at home. We were staying at her friend's house. And it was, I'm telling you as part of my story now. You're not going to buy the book. But yeah, the friend's house that we were staying at, when she saw her son, it triggered for her the fact, what came up for her straight away is the amount of time she'd been trying to get her son to stay out of trouble. And he was now coming through the door, bruised up, bleeding, with his clothes ripped. So he's been in another fight. So straight away, she just went from like 1 to 10 on him and just started ripping into him. I sort of sneaked past. This is in her defense. I'm not sure if she saw me fully, but I know that I managed to skate past and go straight up to the bathroom. Now, by the time my mum had come in, there's no hot water left in the tank. And we all know about those old tanks where you have to wait for them to fill up again. Yeah. I'd used out all of the hot water. And my mum, we're staying at her friend's house. She's complaining that we've used out all the hot water. So it's now the first come to me with, oh, well, where you know, staying at this lady's house, she's been so good to us, etc. And this is what you're doing, blah, blah. And she's just come back from a stressful day at work. To come in and hear you know what I mean? Then she's got to come deal with a child and okay, just, and like I say, by the next day, think it's on. It got to the point where these rumors just started being spread. So you know, my mum actually didn't find out until I was 20 and pregnant with my daughter. And it was a really emotional conversation, a very emotional conversation, because I know that she would have wanted to do everything that she could within her power to prevent that happening. So I just wanted to put that in there, that I didn't have a neglectful mom. This is how things happen. Sometimes things that are out there in society draw your attention away from your home. And it's not your fault. It's not to blame on you. It's just about priorities and what we are placing in our priority list and how we're placing those things. Sometimes going out there to work and missing the time getting to know your children or getting to be with your children, it's not worth the sacrifice. Sometimes it is, sometimes it's not. I can't say either one, but get to know your children, you know, get to know when there's something different about them, get to know when their behavior's changing. Don't listen to the isms of what the community will say. I was labeled as a rebel or whatever, you know, because nobody could understand what I was going through. And I get that now, looking back, that nobody could understand what I was going through. Nobody could understand the weight that I was carrying at that point in time. So it would have been really hard for anybody to address that situation with me, especially had it not been at that time. So yeah, just be mindful of what's happening with your children. You know, like I say, both of us had parents, so I've been raised in a way where I would never dream of doing something that would hinder somebody's life like that. Yet still, these boys were not raised with the same morals. They weren't raised with those same attributes. So to them, it didn't matter. You know, all that they cared about was their reputation. So we have to be careful on the things that we're giving our child, the things that they're seeing from the way that we're living our lifestyles as well. We can't be doing the do as I say and not as I do. That there happened in my generation. And so I'm saying that was 70s parenting, that was 80s, early 80s parenting. That's got to stop now, because these children don't want to see what it is that they're not supposed to do. If they're not supposed to do it, don't show it them.
Yeah, definitely. But also, my lovely, I really want you to share as well, because when you had suicidal thoughts, how did you bring yourself back away from being pushed to the brink? How did you pull yourself back into this journey that you've been on, with the growth and you know, the enhancements that you've made for your mental well-being and protecting your emotional well-being?
I'm doing all these faces now because I'm going to say I tried it and it didn't work. I was crap at committing suicide. And I shouldn't laugh about it. I have to laugh because it's just, if you don't laugh, you cry, don't you? So I'm going to laugh because it feels better. But yeah, I tried it and I didn't succeed. And the fact that I didn't succeed, I tried it more than once, and I didn't succeed. And the fact that I didn't succeed meant to me that there's a reason that I'm here. There's got to be a reason that I'm here, or my time would have been up. You know, that I tried to leave, and everything was saying, nah, we don't want you, stay there. You still got things to do. So then I then, when I got pregnant with my daughter, she became my anchor. And, you know, she was then my reason. Oh, you were the reason that I'm still here. You know, God has blessed me. You are so beautiful. You know, my life is so much brighter now. And it was, you know what I mean, for a good long time. And then it got a little bit dim because then she was an only child for a long time. And I wanted another child, but that's another story. You know, I have been blessed. Like I said, I have 3 children now. So I have definitely been blessed. And in having my boys, that was, I mean, that's the main reason why I decided that I have to write this book, because I'm now raising a boy that will grow up to be the same age as those boys were, you know, and I need to make sure that I'm giving them everything they need to go out there and be the best princes that they can possibly be. Because the world needs men that are going to treat women like princesses. And we can't complain that there are no men there to treat the women like princesses if we're not creating these princes for the princesses. You know, we can't just raise a girl as a princess and then raise a boy as a vagabond and expect him to go out there and treat somebody else's daughter right.
Yeah.
It's not the way. You know, as a parent, we're not actually told that we have to parent our children differently. We're not told that we have to adapt ourselves in the way that we parent for a female and for a male. And when I had my sons, I had to do a lot of adjustment within myself, a lot of the learned behavior, a lot of the things that I'd taken on from my experiences, a lot of the just a lot of the hurt and the pain. I had to let go of it because I couldn't carry that and be the best mother that to my children, to my boys. I couldn't keep that light glowing with all of those shadows inside of me. So I needed to, you know, get it out and start telling people, you know, start sharing these experiences. And so my book, although I've said that it is an easy read, and I say that from 12 years old, any child can read it from 12 years old if there was a rating on it. My 9-year-old boy has read it. It took him 2 days to read it because I think he was just like dead fast. What's happening in mum's life? You know? Before I was born, you know, she did all this. But yeah, he managed to read it. It was comprehensible for him. Luckily enough, I'd spoken to him about the main things that were in there that might have affected him as a boy or as my son. So I'd spoken to him about that previous to me having it published. So when it was published now, he was able to digest it a lot easier. But that's just my journey. For me, it was a case of I want to tell my children everything about me, so there's nothing that anybody on the street can tell them, and then they start having a mistrust for me. There's no point in me hiding my life from my children because my life is inevitably where their life has come from. So if I can show them the mistakes I've made in the past or the roadblocks I've hit, then they might not make those same mistakes or go down those same dead ends.
So all of us are brought together because we're a part of Talk Support UK. And so in your own words, what does an organization or what does this organization, Talk Support, mean to you? And why is it so important for everyone to know about Talk Support and to also get behind and support the organization? So Delia, I'll start with you, my love.
For me, Talk Support is not the key, but a key to many locks, I believe, because of the different skills, knowledge, talent, gifts of each individual that has been involved and is involved with building it. I actually do believe that there's much more to us than we actually understand. This is just the beginning. And when we do get more and more deeper and more, I think once again, I'm sure Elizabeth will admit and maybe agree with me and yourself, Samira, that as a therapist, professional or not, you have to look within yourself. You can't just be telling people what they should and shouldn't do, and you're not looking at yourself and asking yourself the same questions, but also assessing yourself. Why did I say that? Why did I say it in that tone? Why did I say what I said? And question yourself, not just tell people, oh, well, I'm a counselor and this is what you should do. Because even professionals, psychologists that I know, psychiatrists that I know, they have to also counsel them, so get counseled. After practically every client that they see, they have to go and see someone and sit down as they had with someone in front of them. So for me, Talk Counsel is really, I think we're a phenomenon because I see us as a pregnant. We're in conception, in the conception stage, we're in the womb, and we're just slowly growing and going through whatever trials that mummy has to go through, but we are hearing her. We can hear her heartbeat. We can feel the temperature. We can hear when she laughs. We can hear when she's talking, you know, when she's walking, she's rocking us to sleep. All those ways are us right now in talk support. And I believe that when we do give birth, oh yeah, we'll be making a lot of noise. We'll be making a lot of noise, and no one's going to be slapping us. No one. No one's going to be slapping us at all.
The only reason I'm laughing is because I absolutely love Delia. And we were having a private chat, and she was saying to me, so I'm going to make this bit public, what we spoke about, where you said that your husband always says that you have to bring pregnancy into everything that you say and or do. And so this is the quintessential example, if ever there were one.
I can't help it. I really can't.
I love it. I love how you just relating this all to life, because that is what it is. You know what I mean? It's all about life. You know, we do the same thing when you're writing a book. It's the same thing. You're giving birth to your story. You go through the whole. Yeah, it's exactly the same thing. You know what I mean? It's exactly the same thing. So yeah, that is what we're doing. That is what we are as talk support. It is. And I just want to touch back on saying earlier before we moved over. Sorry, I know I keep doing this, Mira.
It's all right, my love. Go ahead. Go ahead.
So
If you ladies are okay, then we can go on. I just know that you ladies are so busy. I'm really concerned. But go ahead, my love.
Don't worry about it. We've got time for this. It's what is it? It's World Suicide Prevention Day. So we're doing this. We're doing this, okay? If it takes all of our time to stop two people from doing something that they don't really want to do, yeah, we're here. Okay. So you were talking about people not talking to the parents and the partners, and I explained about my parent, etc. And it's weird, you were talking about the effects that it has on your life and the things that it affects that you don't actually realize it's affecting, like your relationships and the way that you are intimately in your relationships. And it is so true. It's like my son's father, my two sons' father, it just so happened that it was him that triggered me to get the book out. I need to do this now. He asked me, he was the first person that I actually went over the whole incident with, since my diploma in counselling. And I think that's when I lost faith for the BACP, because there were people that were passing the exam, and they acted different to me after I told them about it. Well, that wasn't UPR. You know what I mean? You're supposed to treat me exactly the same way you did before you knew, because you were supposed to have had me as a blank canvas, and nothing I told you should have made you react any different. Yeah, so there were people that were extra nice the next day and stuff like that. So it's like, no, you fake counsellors. But yeah, he asked me, I went through it with him. He couldn't understand, why, how come you didn't do it, how come nothing happened, and he just couldn't understand it. He's a Jamaican, so he was just like totally like, no, this don't make no sense to me, And I went through it and explained what had happened, and I realized, all of this tension that I was now releasing with him, letting him know about this. I'd carried that through all of those relationships previously without, just holding this part of myself that nobody ever was able to get close to. And yeah, it does affect you in certain ways. You don't actually even realize it until you start looking back and reflecting on how you, like I say, on how you could have done things different, analyzing the situations, looking at it from different sides, from many different sides. So yeah, it is. So these things, they go on forever. I mean, I remember a while back when I first just started talking about it with him. When I first talked about it with him, after that, I wanted to talk to my family members about it. And there was a couple of them. Well, one in particular, she'd say to me, you've told us about that. You've talked about that already, and that whole get over it type attitude thing. And have you not finished with that story yet? And like, No, I haven't. No, I haven't. I haven't finished. I don't think I'll ever be finished with it. You know, it's never a story that I'm ever going to be finished with because it happened. It was real. You know what I mean? And whether you recognize it as being something that was a huge thing taken from me or not, I know it was because I know what dreams I had. I know what plans I had. I had my whole losing virginity night planned out. You know what I mean? So when I'm saying this came a good 6 years too early and not with any of the characters or the scenario or the scenery that was supposed to be there, I'm not letting go of it. You know, I've held this for so long. I'm not letting go of it. It was a case of it's not something that you have to let go of. You don't just let go or get over it because you can't get over it. You know, live through it. It's always going to be there, and whether you're thinking about it today or not, one day, maybe next week, next month, next year, it'll flash back, something will trigger back to you. So you don't have to get through it again. And you don't get over it, you just live through it. And that's the best thing I can say to anybody that's even feeling low to the point of feeling suicidal. The best thing I can say to you is you may never get over it, but you will live through it. Yeah, you will live through it.
I have to agree with you there because even with a lot of people ask me, pregnancy without fear. What do you mean pregnancy without fear? There's always fear. And I said, yes, there is. There's always fear, but there's fear with no knowledge and support. And then there's fear with knowledge and support. And when you have fear with no knowledge, it overwhelms you. You're not able to cope. You can't labor. And if anything, your body will stop and start, and you'll be laboring for days and end up in theater. Whereas if you have fear, but you have knowledge with it, you have support with it, then you minimize the fear. And that's why we need support all the time, because we may not be able to get rid of it, as Elizabeth is saying, but you can minimize it, and you minimize it through the knowledge and support that you get in order to be able to cope and then live through it.
Absolutely. I mean, the thing is that everyone this week, and to be honest, it's because you don't even need this week to know that support is the key to everything. Because in order for us to actually progress to and exceed our potential, it takes more than just the individual. That's the whole beautiful thing about the human and actually just life form on this planet. And I think the wonderful thing about all of us coming together and sharing ideas is that it takes a village to raise a child. I'm now going into the pregnancy child trajectory. But, it really and truly is about that support system. I wouldn't be where I am today without my incredible support system. I'm not going to cry, Mum. My mum is on here, Mummy Carmen. I'm not going to cry. But, my parents, my sister is on here. I am so blessed. My cousins, my aunts, my uncles, all of my friends, that I call you my family as well. We have to have support. We have to trust. Delia, you were saying that we have to trust. But it's when that trust has been broken.
Yeah.
How do we therefore then move forward to then, as you said, Elizabeth, my love, to then actually progress and get through life, because it is challenging. And this is why I believe that having an organization, Talk Support, yes, it's a charity because it's registered as that type of entity, but this is a lifeline. I see this as a lifeline, and also as a community, because there are people, unfortunately, who don't have the family structure that I am blessed with, and I take it not for granted at all. I'm forever talking about my family structure and support system because I want that for everyone. And so if you don't have that, know that Talk Support is just that for you. We have phenomenal individuals that have come together as a family to be that family for you. And it's wonderful that we are from different walks of life.
Yeah.
and that this support system isn't going anywhere. As Delia said, you know, you're so funny. I love you, Delia. We're still in the womb because we're in our infancy. But make no mistake, it's still a powerful fetus that is that heart that is beating, that is here for everyone. And I want everyone to recognize that. So like and share this. Make sure that the message is being spread, that it doesn't matter which corner of the British Isles you are based. And you never know, we may go international. That we are here to be that lifeline, to be that support. The hands are being extended and reaching out to you. All you have to do is meet us halfway. And so that for me is why this organization is so important. And I'm proud I didn't cry through that. Don't worry, I'm going to start crying though, because this whole week I have been crying. It's been hilarious. All of my friends who've been donating and family, every time I speak to them to thank them for donating, I start crying. I'm sure I was crying with you, Elizabeth, on the phone. I'm sure I was saying I'm just so overwhelmed, and it's just a blessing to have you ladies in my life, and the rest of, you know, the Talk Support family and our extended family that are watching live, as well as who will be liking and sharing and watching the replay. I mean, Elizabeth, what does Talk Support also mean to you, and why is it important for people to know about our organization?
Okay, so Talk Support means to me, what it means to me is it's that place where you're not only going to get counselors, you're going to get mentors as well that have lived experience of what you're going through. There'll always be somebody there that's going to that'll be able to recognize the signs and symptoms of what you're going through, because they've had it before or they've been there before. They know what to expect. They know what's going to be coming your way after that. So they're going to be able to give you a map, as though to say, on how to get yourself back up, how to hashtag get back up, how to get yourself back up and running again, walking if need be, crawling if you want, you know. You just to stop you being so low, you know, because if you can get up from being that low, then you can keep moving. Yeah, it's just a matter of you not hitting the bottom. That's what we want. We don't want nobody hitting the bottom. So Talk Support is a free counseling service, so you don't even need money. You can call 24 hours a day. There'll always be somebody there to take your call, and somebody will call you back and get in touch with you to deal through your problems with you. Yeah, they're going to help you. They're going to support you through that. They may not be able to take away your pain, but they will help you to manage it. Okay. Absolutely. And that, to me, it means so much, because like I say, my time was really lonely. If I'd have had somebody there that I could have reached out to at that point, I mean, those days, talking early 90s, so there was only Childline. And my mum had already told me what she would do if I called Childline. You know, I wanted to call them because of the fact that I lived in a black home and got syllable beatings. So I was like, I don't understand. She talks so much. But yeah, when it came to, you know, things like that, if I couldn't go to my mum about it, how the hell am I going to go to you about it? You take me away from my mum. You know, it was a no-go. So I'm just so grateful that my children are able to be in an era where there are facilities like Talk Support. My grandchildren are going to come into an era where there are facilities like Talk Support. Hopefully Talk Support will have given birth multiple times by then. So have lots of supports running around to help many more people. That's my take on Talk Support.
There's a lot of baby talk. Mom, I know that you want to have grandkids, so I'm a bit concerned now. That's another story. But obviously we're running this raffle, which is just a fun, you know, kind of fun sweetener. But the truth is that as a non-for-profit organization, we want to continue the great works that have been done, are being done, but equally important can continue to be done. And so we do have our fundraiser, which is in recognition and also in celebration of World Suicide Prevention Day. And I say celebration because it's about saving lives. Anything that can prevent a life being taken must be celebrated. And that is what Talk Support is all about, is that we want to prevent lives being taken, but we also want to give life. So we do have a befriending service as well, just to ensure that the community is staying together and each one reach one. So if you haven't already donated, you know what I'm going to say. You know where I'm going with this, everyone. It's £5 per raffle ticket. Now, I know for example, my Muslim brothers and sisters, I know that you won't be able to participate in the raffle itself. But your £5 is going 100% to the organization. It's not going in anyone's pocket. It is going to the organization for us to continue the great works that are being done. Every single ticket is a donation. If you want to enter the raffle, then automatically your ticket will count for that. If you wish to remove yourself from the raffle, please just drop me an email just so that I know not to include you in our raffle draw, and I will respect that. But every single £5 is important, guys. You know, I have a little saying, which is every single brick is important to build a bridge. Doesn't matter if it's one ticket. Yeah, by the way, Delia, that's my saying. I know it's been appropriated, and I was told the imitation is flattery. But the thing is that, you know, every single £5 is important, guys. And so please make sure that today, for you guys in America, do you know we've received donations from Australia, from Switzerland, and
Brilliant.
from America, as well as from Scotland, right the way through the British Isles and across it. So let's keep up the great work, guys. Let's make sure that we're putting our money where our mouth is. And £5, I hope it will not bankrupt anyone. We don't want anyone to be in a difficult situation, okay? If you're able to give, please do. Please do, because this is your way of making sure that we can continue this great works. Equally, I will pop the link for everyone to know how they can go about donating, whether it be through bank transfer, whether it be through PayPal, or it could be through debit or credit card. But equally, remember, www.talksupport.uk is the website for anyone that is looking for our services. Make sure you spread that far and wide. And equally, the helpline 0203 6677 888. It just flows off the tongue. I think I know it more than my own cell phone number. But make sure that we're spreading this news, guys. Make sure that we are spreading this hope, because no one, yesterday, Jen spoke about this, that suicide is preventable as long as people know the resources are out there for them. We are here to help with someone's mental and emotional well-being, whatever the situation is. It could be exam stress. It could be that individual needs pregnancy counseling. It could be that they're dealing with the trauma that has taken place through rape, through child molestation. It could be they just need to have a friendly voice at the end of a telephone line. Food hampers, especially during the numerous lockdowns that we've had. Talk Support was making sure that food could be delivered. So listen, guys, I know that it's pretty late in the day for us in the UK, and it's getting into the late afternoon for you guys in America and the Americas. But something that I saw from Dr. Seuss, I don't know if you ladies follow a lot of Dr. Seuss's words. He was an author and a political cartoonist. But something that I read, and I'm actually going to read it to you because I love a lot of Dr. Seuss's quotes. But this one I thought was very interesting, which was, sometimes the questions are complicated and the answers are simple. And I thought that I wanted to share that because today is our our 5th and final day of this particular series. But know that even if your questions are incredibly challenging for you to even raise with yourself, the answers will be as simple as they can be if you tap into the support that is available to you, non-judgmental, free of charge. So ladies, from my heart to yours, thank you ever so much. Do you have any closing words before we finish our final session? Delia, I'll start with you, my love. Do you have any closing words?
There's so many things that can be said, but just to shorten it, because in no time, literally, like you said, dinner time for most children. If mummy's been around and hasn't got the dinner ready. But yeah, just to say that we're learning how to trust each other, and that is what we need. We are learning how to love ourselves in order to love each other. And I just say to everyone, let's try and keep that up as much as possible. Wherever we're stuck, ask. Let's not hold things in, keep things a secret. Let's trust enough and love enough to say, I need to share this with somebody, because the more we can do that, the better we will get. Where, as Elizabeth has said, our generations, we've got generations to come. There are many more babies to be born. And if we can start something now, which is foundational, and we make that foundation, as the Bible says, building our house on a rock and not on sand, I think we'll be steadfast and ready.
Amen to that. And Elizabeth, my love, the same question to you. Any closing thoughts and words?
Yeah, so my closing words would be basically just to hang on in there, give Talk Support a call if you need any support. If you just want to talk, there'll always be somebody there. Don't stay on your own. Don't keep it to yourself. It will eat away at you. Okay, so let go. Talk to somebody. Even if you have to talk to a stranger at a bus stop and then walk away, you can laugh about it afterwards, but just get it out. Okay, yeah. And also, if anybody wants to know about my book, sorry, I'm doing a plug, Samira. If anybody wants to know more about my book, you can catch me on Instagram on @ElizabethHamiltonAuthor, or you can catch me on a Facebook page where I release snippets about what's in the books and the coming books as well. And that is on Facebook, In Relation to Men by Elizabeth Hamilton. Okay, that's it. And yeah, I'm also a Talk Support mentor. Although I'm not full-time, but if anybody wants me or needs me, I'm about. And if I'm not there, one of my colleagues will definitely be able to help you just as well as I can, just as well as Delia. Well, maybe not as well as Delia can, because Delia is a specialist. She is our doula. And women, when I had my first baby, I had as close to a doula as I could get at the time. It was called a domino birth. And that was as close to a doula as I could get at the time. And then when I had my sons, there was no such thing as a domino birth. And they were like, no, you got to go to the hospital. I'm like, so listen, I totally recommend doulas to you. Go for it. It's the most grounding and natural experience you can offer your child coming into this world. Believe me, it is. So I totally commend that. And they support you right the way through. I have a few friends that are doulas as well down here. Up here in Manchester. So they are so good at supporting you, taking you through the motions, taking you through your body's rhythms, because there's no such thing as straight lines, and right the way through our life we're riding a different rhythm. It's a wave. They help you through that. They teach you how to ride that wave. They get you in alignment with yourself and your body. Yeah, and that's the best place you can be when you're carrying another child. So yeah, I definitely recommend Delia and any services she's prepared to offer you whilst you're pregnant. Take them all.
Just quickly to say, I'm a former doula. I'm a qualified midwife. I'm a VBAC specialist, and you can find me on Pregnancy Without Fear. Delia at Pregnancy. Delia is my email address, but Pregnancy Without Fear at Instagram. You can find me there, or pregnancy-without-fear.com, my website, and there are quite a few podcasts that pregnant women can listen to for free. in different areas that relates to pregnancy. So that can be passed on to anyone who's listening, pregnancy-without-fear.com, and they can listen to free podcasts there.
By the way, ladies, I'm going to pop all of your social media and public details in the summary of this recording. So don't worry, I'll make sure that everyone has your social media handles and your websites as well. Ladies, thank you so much for concluding day 5 of our 5-day series for World Suicide Prevention Day, which is today.
Thank you very much, Amira.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Guys,
and it's lovely meeting Elizabeth.
Oh, it is, isn't it? It's so wonderful, all connecting. But guys,
Isn't
in
it?
the chat,
Can I just say one more thing before I leave? I just wanted to 25% of the proceeds from the sales of the books by Elizabeth Hamilton go towards sponsoring a charity called Finding Naya, which is a community communication enhancement charity, which is working alongside Talk Support with community communication. Hence, we do the mentoring and we lend mentors also. So just letting you know that also, if you buy the book, it's going to a good cause also. We run a home education group through Finding Naya, which offers free classes to people who home educate via interactive Zoom. So just giving you a little bit of a snippet. And yeah, there's so much more to come from Talk Support. So look out at all of its arms, all of its fingers, and everybody that it's touching.
Definitely. Guys, have a wonderful weekend. I'm wishing you lots of love and blessings. And please remember that you are youer than you, which is truer than true. And everything about you is beautiful. Have a wonderful weekend. Stay well, stay blessed. And thank you so much.
And you too. Take care.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Bye.